Hello, my lovelies, and welcome to the NPC Reviews. Many adventures happen in a well-lived house. Luckily, there were some very nice young adventurers to help take care of that. Also, sometimes the house itself, or himself, can have many adventures too, and if you and your friends learn more about each other along the way while tapping into primal magics you don't entirely understand, all the better. Then throw in some mundane struggles of greed and toxic social conventions, and you have today's adventure in the Boiling Isles in the Owl House Episode 6, Hooty's Moving Hassle. Our story continues with Ida showing Luz the Boiling Isles' favorite children's card game.
Watch closely, Luz. Hex's Hold'em is the most tricky game on the Boiling Isles.
It's essentially Wizard Chess meets Magic the Gathering. Ida pulls out her wild card and wins, showing she's not the worst winner, but not the best.
Woo! I win! In your adorable owl face.
However, in her victory, her curse seems to be returning. Seems she let her elixir stash go dry during the gaming streak. So they resolve to go to the market, but not before she asks for another round, which they avoid with a minor intervention. They arrive at the marketplace and Luz...
Is there anything better than people watching in the demon realm?
Just remember, Luz.
My eyes are down here.
At the sight of some demon hunters, Ida impatiently harries the potion merchant while Luz spots her friends. Because she has those now. But they are sad.
Who hurt my babies?
Turns out Amity and Posse are having a moonlight conjuring and is being vocal about how she didn't invite Willow. A moonlight conjuring essentially being a sleepover with...
Then you bring something to life with moon magic!
Amity and company come to rub it in a bit more, though she does seem a bit hands-off about it.
Leave her alone. It's not her fault she was born without talent.
Amity, you were there in episode 3. How can you say this girl has no talent? Luz calms Gaia's wrath and resolves to have their own moonlight conjuring, sans the blackjack and narcotics, and Gus crosses it off his bucket list. Let's take a look at that. Be the surprise in a hollow cake. Alright, so long as it doesn't end like the last one.
That poor girl.
Meanwhile, Mr. Elixir is out, and yes, Ida ran out because she was playing Hex's Hold'em. With the curse creeping forward, he suggests Grimhammer at the night market. Luz asks about Willow and Gus coming over, but Ida has to go to the market, needs Luz to watch the house, and is less than kind about moonlight conjurings.
Sitting in a circle holding hands, it's like magic for babies.
However, between the short window of the celestial alignment and unintentional friendly peer pressure, Luz lies, saying she got permission. Later, Ida is ready to depart, leaving Luz to watch Hooty. He doesn't approve.
Babysitter, I'm a big boy house!
After cute king times, Ida adds some extra pressure.
If you mess up the house, I will never trust you again. No pressure!
And leaves. With that, Luz waffles a bit, but shows Willow and Gus in, and even they're impressed by the place. Also, Gus gets to mark another thing off his list. Woot! Willow is really excited, and they decide what they want to animate. She wants to animate something beautiful and meaningful, but the pleas of Gus breaks her will. So the conjuring begins. Unfortunately, Luz doesn't know the words, and a spell mishap occurs, meaning instead of the buff little man, they animate the owl house itself. That's probably a good thing. I think Buff Bob would be a bad influence.
A real man never takes accountability.
They realize they did indeed animate the house. Hooty's a leg bird, I must say, and he starts walking, nearly killing Gus. They keep the episode from ending prematurely when they join hands taking control of Hooty, and at Gus's suggestion, they go on a joyride. They prank one of the mean girls from before and want to show up Amity, but Luz thinks they should take Hooty back. Right then, Amity gets mean.
Shout out to my fellow witches, #humans can bite it.
And they continue their joyride, being followed by the demon hunters from before. Meanwhile, Ida finds Grimhammer, who turns out to be a well-dressed pig demon named Tibbles, and he just stocked up on the elixir. With relief near at hand, Ida attempts to buy it, but Tibbles gouges.
1,000 snails? What kind of game are you playing?
Capitalism, where everyone wins, except you.
Ida, not wanting to quit, spies some Hex's Hold'em cards. Her need and her addiction and sinister sync with each other. She offers to play a game. If she wins, she gets the elixir, and if Tibbles, who seems to not know the game, wins, he gets something of hers. And he agrees. The joyride arrives near the Blight Manor when the demon hunters spring their trap. Hooty is bound and the kids cornered. They're all tied up and Willow is having her darkest hour for the episode when the demon hunters decide to chop up Hooty and toss Luz and pals over the cliff. Tom here is quite happy to do so.
It's been my dream since I was a boy. I was a strange child.
Just kidding, but they nearly manage to get caught on a branch, and Willow has a confession.
The truth is, she and I used to be friends. But when she got her magical powers and I didn't, she stopped hanging out with me.
One puberty is bad enough, but to have to go through two? Ugh. Maybe. Still, Luz reassures her.
I just wanted to prove to her that I was a powerful witch too.
You helped bring a house to life. Next to Ida, you're the most powerful witch I know.
With that encouragement, Willow goes out on a limb for her friends. As that happens, Ida is hustled and loses. As a huckster herself, you think she would have seen that coming. Still, Tibbles wants his prize.
And I choose the little bone boy.
Is this legal, man?
Only here and in Mississippi.
He wants King to be his unpaid fashion servant, and it turns out Tibbles knew who Ida was the whole time and plans to claim the bounty on her, finding her because she can't use her magic right now. At that time, Gaia's wrath is unleashed on the demon hunters, and the three of them manage to get back in the driver's circle, heading back before the moon sets. Ida has her moment of change.
I know I have a problem. I get obsessed with Hex's Hold'em. But I'm done with that stupid game.
They're still cornered though, and Tibbles ominously gloats.
I've got the cards stacked against you. And nothing can stop me.
Luckily, Luz and friends aren't the best drivers, and they smash his shop, which gives King an opening. Ida gets the elixir and her magic back, unbinding herself. With a little smugness, they leave him in the shattered remains of his stall. Despite their overall bad driving, they do park Hooty properly. Their relief is short-lived, however, as they are busted. Willow and Gus stand up for Luz, though.
Hey, you didn't have to do that.
Yes, Luz, I did.
Ida, understandably, has them clean the whole house, but
That was totally amazing! And I'm so joining you for next year's Conjuring.
King and Ida comment on the powerful magic it takes to animate a whole house. And our episode ends with the Mean Girls' failed conjuring and social media allowing Willow, Luz, and Gus to show up Amity after all. So beautiful. Despite how quickly and smoothly this episode runs, there's a lot to unpack. For the characters, Luz is glowing from having new friends, which is cute and I think a familiar feeling most can recall or empathize with. Willow has a similar glow, but is tarnished by the doubt she still feels regarding Amity, despite the good turn for her in episode 3. Confidence takes time after all. Between her, Luz, and Gus, I just want to squish their faces. Amity was hands off with her bullying, but it was still present. Also, she's still kind of a speciesist. Still, the beginnings of growth starting convention seem to be progressing. This is emphasized with the inclusion of Skara. She's got that mean girl attitude, and the brief glimpse we get into her home life does not bode well for her as a person, but well as a future antagonist. Definitely new mean queen material. You've got to love Ida in her growth as a mentor mother figure here. Sure, she was upset about her house getting trashed, but she was fair in the punishment and excited in what the kids managed to accomplish. I wish I had had more people like that in my life. Oh, the DM was great, but there are other figures and other times in my life. What? Oh, I'm fine. Ida, good. Yes. Moving on. This episode also introduces or implies a different source for magic. The power used for the Midnight Conjuring doesn't seem to go through the bile sac, which explains why some witches have trouble with it, and why Luz can participate in the ritual. Looking into the future a little bit, we know that magic originates with the Titan. With that in mind, it implies the moon might have also been a magical being of some sort, still giving off magic despite being dead. Between that and how it shows off Luz's talent for non-standard magic, it's a good bit of world and character building. Here's to hoping it doesn't come crashing down on everyone, though. Regarding the lessons of the episode, there's like three and a half, all kind of rolled together. The first one is addiction. Played off comically so you might not think about it, but it's Ida's addiction to Hex's Hold'em that puts her in jeopardy and nearly costs her and King everything. While addiction is harder to manage than indicated, she realizes her position and wants to change. Good for her. Next is greed. I mean, specifically they're talking about capitalism, but capitalism is a major system by which greed is applied. And it all boils down to greed is bad. It leaves people vulnerable to the hoarding few and the systems they create. Both of these lessons are straightforward and on the nose, but they're presented well and entertainingly that the forward nature actually works for it. And let's be honest, we as people need reminders of basic things at times. Then there's the peer pressure Luz goes through. What I like here is that it's not the peer pressure by suspicious classmates that one often sees. It can come from benign sources, and that can be more devastating in its consequences, because one's more emotionally invested in the outcomes. Basically, clear communication, understanding, and boundaries where needed are key to avoiding any kind of peer pressure. The kind of half lesson is one of showing off. Be strong in knowing what you know or what you are, even if others don't. Trying to show off will probably just make you look foolish and lead to other bad outcomes that undermine you. All of these lessons are rolled together, but rolled together quite expertly, like delicious moral sushi. Let's talk about Tibbles. If I recall correctly, when this episode came out, there was talk about him being kind of one note and lacking nuance, and that made him bad or boring. Or at the very least, there was talk about that regarding fictional villains in general. Tibbles is a simple villain. He's literally a greedy pig, but that's okay. Not every villain needs a complex backstory to be fun or entertaining. At the very least, not the side villains. In fact, I would argue that's kind of needed from time to time. Narratively, it helps the main villain stand out, and it provides easy XP for the protagonist to grow from. Also, not every person who does bad things has a Freudian excuse.
I'm gonna internalize that and unknowingly transfer it onto you tomorrow.
Some people are just jerks. Sad but true, and at times we need villains to remind us of that, and that things need to be done about them. With that in mind, Tibbles is a good villain, and it's just fun to see his stuff get smashed.
We're controlling it with the power of friendship. And the moon. Probably the moon.
Hooty's moving castle has a lot going on, but skillfully assembled in its presentation. You might disagree on what morals are presented, but they are there and discussion is welcome. This episode sets up a lot, both lore-wise and character-wise, and should not be missed. It's a fun episode that scores double points for getting in both an anime reference and a Baba Yaga reference. Give it a watch. So, do the things. I will enjoy having you all stop by more often, and until next time, fare thee well, my lovelies.